decimal 3 and 4 decimal 8. I say again, echo decimal 3, 4 decimal 8. Same chart, over. Roger. Latitude plus 0 decimal 523. Longitude divided by 2, 11 decimal 710. Over. Roger that. There we go. Roger, that's clear. You're not too loud and clear, but I think it's the same fellow. Any rebuzz? Loud and clear. You're really coming in beautifully, over. Okay, ground state. I plus 1 out DGA. And go. Alright, set preview. Roger, now LOS and AOS times for you this pass with mid-set. LOS 109er plus 21 plus 12. AOS coming around the corner 110 0735. Over. Roger out. Okay, if you'd like to look again, next pass we have a different set of coordinates based on the onboard T-57. These are echo decimal 3 and 4 decimal 8. I say again, echo decimal 3, 4 decimal 8. Same chart, over. Roger. Latitude plus 0 decimal 523. Longitude divided by 2, 11 decimal 710. Over. Roger that. There we go. Roger, that's clear. You're not too loud and clear, but I think it's the same fellow. Any rebuzz? Loud and clear. You're really coming in beautifully, over. Okay, ground state. I plus 1 out DGA. And go. Alright, set preview. Roger, now LOS and AOS times for you this pass with mid-set. LOS 109er plus 21 plus 12. AOS coming around the corner 110 0735. Over. Roger out. Okay, if you'd like to look again, next pass we have a different set of coordinates based on the onboard T-57. These are echo decimal 3 and 4 decimal 8. I say again, echo decimal 3, 4 decimal 8. Same chart, over. Roger. Latitude plus 0 decimal 523. Longitude divided by 2, 11 decimal 710. Over.
All right. How's everybody doing? It's Thursday night. Time for some code and chill, or rather this week we're going to be doing, once again, a little bit less code and a little bit more art. My cats are already off to fighting, so there's that. Yeah, let me pull over some Asaprite, show you guys what we're going to be working on. So last week we were in here in the caves working through some of this terrain painting stuff in here. I've been working all week on this same terrain painting stuff. Made some good progress. Like, the majority of the basin area is done. There's actually not like that much left here. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty to do, right? But could be worse. A lot of, like, once we get up here, it's just like filler art because the player's never gonna get up there. The same thing with up here, this section. So really we just have a little bit of the outlines here in each of these areas, right there and right there, and then this one cave, and then we're done. That being said, I've already been painting this for 2 weeks, so it's a process. It takes a while. But yeah, just gonna be continuing this today, seeing how far we can get. I'm under no illusions that we'll be done with this tonight. Okay, I have a couple of areas like this where I just have random floating little island things where I was just using this basically as a reference while I was doing this cliff to make sure I was keeping the art style consistent and looking good, you know? But yeah, so just gonna continue the same pattern over here. The heat wave in New York is mostly over, I would say. It hasn't been as hot these past few days. Last stream was pretty hot. It was like straight up in the middle of the heat wave last time. But yeah, just gonna paint our happy little trees. These aren't trees, but we get the point. Channeling our inner Bob Ross, except we're doing it with pixels. I'm trying to these parts here, I imagine are kind of like because you know, even though it's rocky, right, there's a lot of rockiness, a lot of cliffs going on, there's still silt, right, and impact debris and all that stuff, and that's gonna accumulate, right, on any surface that it can accumulate on. So that's what this stuff is supposed to be here, just accumulated silt and gravel, and it's the lunar terrain, you know, it's very fine grains, so trying to replicate how that would kind of settle on cliffs and stuff like that. It's probably not totally accurate. I think it's more stylized than it needs to be, but we want to sell a certain vibe, right? Okay, so I need to, as I'm doing this, I'm trying to like imagine how it would settle onto the cliffside. Honestly, maybe this should just be one connected thing, but I feel like that's a little too much there. Gotta find the balance. Something like that, maybe. And then fill it in with this. It's kind of weird when it's like two like that. Trying to think if there's a cleaner way to line that up, because then this still needs to come out like that. And it's like, it almost feels like this should just be one thing. But I feel like it's weird if it does become one thing, because then it's like, okay, why is there like sand or like that kind of material just going straight down and forming a wall, you know? So I don't know. I want to kind of separate these, but at the same time, I feel like keeping them separate is probably not the worst idea. I think it looks like I have to also like remember to like take a step back as I'm doing this and just like look at it like from kind of a slightly more zoomed out perspective, because like this is what the lander view would be. We're not going to be in there like that, you know. But still, I don't know, because these maybe connect. Does that actually doesn't look too bad if they connect. Maybe I need to just refine it a tiny bit. Like, I don't know. I want to have some part of this come down a little bit. Maybe there, and then maybe there. That doesn't look too bad. Because then here we're going to have a cliff again in this area. And then it'll need to come back into more like sandy stuff again. Okay. I think that works fine. I'm gonna grab some shadow, throw it underneath this. We're actually probably gonna replace that with a darker shadow in a sec, but it works for now. And then I'm gonna bring this up. We'll play with it. We'll play with the shape in a second here, but I just want to bring it upwards so that we have it. I like having the background color in there. It helps me kind of visualize how everything is. So I'll just bring that in. I'll fill it. And then the color for the cliff is actually the same color as this, but something about how it separates, like because the other colors around it, I actually don't find that it's super noticeable that it's the same color. Like it looks like a different color to me, at least. And then I'm gonna take this guy right here. I want to move him up. I want to have that. I want to take that reference with me. This is a decent looking cliff. That's like a similar profile. Like this profile here is similar to what I've got here. So I'm just gonna bring it over so I can see what I'm doing. So immediately what's sticking out to me is this overhang here. We can do something like that here. And then I'm gonna grab these shadows, and because these kind of give us the contour of how the how much of the shelf we see of the cliff. This one's pretty flat, so it's gonna be mostly just flat lines, but it's still good. It still gives us something to work with. Something like that. Now we have, you see, now we have kind of like an outline. Okay, this is where the cliffside is gonna go, and we can fill in the actual color. So one thing I know, this is gonna be an overhang, right? So we'll have some shadow in that area, but I'm just gonna ignore shadow for now entirely, and then I'll add it in a second here. So the other thing I like to do is just like the line tool. It seems to be pretty good for giving the shape. Like these lines here, the intermittent lines, I want it to look like it's like a rock strata that's going like straight up and down, right? That might have some, you know, indents and stuff like that, but it's still straight up and down. So literally what I'm doing is I'm taking this line tool and I'm just dragging out lines, and I'm allowing them to crisscross if I feel like it, right? But it starts giving me, you see, now we already have like these interesting indentations here, and we can play around with those and get some nice shadows going in a second. But now is a good time to start working on the shading for that cliff there. It's just like 2 or 3 different colors. Here, extend that a little bit. Give it some nice definition, you know? And then give that some more darkness. Maybe something like that. It's already starting to look kind of like a cliff face. Then this already kind of looks like a shadow, but what I can do is extend it down a tiny bit more, because if you imagine like these are like more outward facing parts of the cliff face, might be a little darker in there, and I just sprinkle in some more shadow every once in a while. That one was actually a little too much, something like that. And then yeah, giving that that little bit right there, not too bad, fills it in. Hey, user T19 Falk, welcome to the chat. How you doing today, man? This game is Descent Horizon. It's a space or lunar survival game. I'm finally getting a chance to actually work on the map for it, because up until now I've had a bunch of basically just gray boxes, gray lines that I was pretending was the lunar terrain. I do like that actually. Okay, now right here we have another chance to put a nice shadow, so boom, throw that in there, some more shadow, and then I'm actually going to bring some of this gray over here. Is that a little too much? That was a little too much. Yeah, there we go. And a lot of this is kind of like, I think I was mentioning this on the last stream, it's about the vibe more than it is about being super perfect and accurate. Like, does that give the vibe of a cliff face? And I feel like it kind of does, you know. We only have so many pixels to work with here, so we can't chase perfection here. We just have to see what feels good, you know. I think that looks decent. And then boom, just like that, we're done with that cliff face, I would say, for now at least. I can come back to it later if I feel like it, but right now I'm happy with how that looks. And then we'll continue it. So that's already connected to this sand-ish thing. And then I can probably work on expanding these here in a second. I like to build my way up as I go. So here I'll add a little more of this detail like that, or detail, not detail, just the banding. Give myself some space to work with so that I can add in like these internal rock shapes here. And then these give me a chance to kind of draw a little more what's it called? Not attention. A little more information for your eye, I guess. So it doesn't feel like this is just sticking out on its own. It's part of like a whole thing, you know? And then literally just playing around with different little shapes here. Adding some dots to tie it together, and then boom. Okay. This is like a very much trust the process kind of thing, because if you try to pay attention too much to any one set of pixels, it kind of breaks down at this scale, at least. I mean, with my skill level, I'm not that good at pixel art. So I kind of trust the overall, I don't know, vibe more than I do the individual pixels. Something like that there. And then once again, bring it in with the little speckles here. There. Now this one, see, this is why it's good to have a reference, because I'm looking at this and I feel like I have some bigger chunks here, bigger rocks, you know. Not everywhere, but like I could do like a slightly bigger one here. Yeah, that's a little too big, something like that. It's not too bad. Yeah, everything else seems more or less consistent. I mean, I have some interesting banding here, So I'll try to mimic that as well, so that it's not just like a perfect like thing following the shape of the rock. We want to have like some protrusions and stuff like that. Maybe I'm better off actually taking away than adding. Something like that. Yeah, it gives the same effect, but I'm not adding any negative space that's not going to be used. There's something missing here. Actually, is that a good... I was going to say it might be a decent spot to put like a little mineral. I just worry about putting them too close together because I have one right here. And then having another one right there might feel a little close. But then again, I'm a human, so I shouldn't overthink the randomness. Because the more you overthink your randomness, the less random your randomness becomes. So we'll add one there. I think this was this color. Yeah, and then the shadow is this color. Then boom, now we have a little mineral, and that spot looks a little less empty. So that works. Yeah, and then I think we can add one more of these here. We know that this is going to get filled in anyway. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to that next layer of banding. And for this one, I'm going to intentionally try to make it a little more wonky. Not a whole lot, but I want it to be kind of like the further out it goes, the less consistent, or the less, I guess, tight the layers are. Is how I would describe it. I think I might have... One sec, let me see something. Something with my Twitch connection got messed up, so I haven't been seeing my Twitch chat at all. 1 second. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So I am sorry if I missed any chats from Twitch. My social stream plugin that I've been using wasn't showing them to me, so I apologize. Let me see. I'm gonna go try to catch up. I'm gonna go look real quick in my stream manager and see if I missed anything. There we go. Okay. Hey Corbin, I'm sorry, man. How's your week been, man? It's good to see you. It's weird. I didn't notice that it was disconnected. I just had to reauthorize again. How'd your deploy end up going, man? Remember last week you were working on deploying some stuff for work. That's a nice big one compared to the ones that were there before. Yeah. Doing good, chillaxing. GPT 5.6 is out and it's incredible. Work deploy went pretty well. We had a new production outage pop up suddenly. I'm handling it well and working with my team. Nice. That's awesome. Are you working on it like now? Like from last week, or was it like more like an issue popped up today or something, or yesterday after you had deployed? I haven't tried 5.6 yet. I've been steady with 5.2 whenever I do use. Because for work, they like us using the LLMs. And 5.2 is pretty decent, but yeah, I haven't really played around too much. I'm like a creature of habit. Like once I find something that works for me, I find it hard to like try out new things. You know, it's not a good habit. I'm not gonna lie, because I end up waiting a really long time before I play with cool shiny new toys. last week's is basically taken care of. New issue is Microsoft had retired an authentication method to SharePoint in April and didn't tell us. Then took 3 months to finally apply the patch to our SharePoint farm, so it broke suddenly and a lot of our lambdas are airing out. Yikes. Had to get a client TLS certificate and change code across like 20 lambdas and then ask the team to test them. Yikes, dude. Oh, that's a pain. That is not fun to deal with. Are you guys kind of on the tail end of it now? It sounds like, I mean, you have everything. It sounds like more or less handled, and just now have people testing the fixes and stuff. Pushing these pixels. Oh man. I mean, it is satisfying to do this, you know? Like, it's nice to see things coming along. It just... When you've been staring at the same thing for 2 weeks, I don't know, something about it, like my brain, like, I can stare at code, no problem. But something about, like, art, I get burnt out on it. And this game is, I have a lot of art to do. To pace myself. The merge request is under review, and we're just verifying everything. The code deltas are small but high risk because the lambdas are fragile. Yeah, tell me about it. Fair, dude. Story of my life. But it's just, you guys are just updating TLS certificates, right? So, like, it, in terms of, like, risk level, I would assume that, like, you don't have too much that could go wrong. It's like, I mean, I have no idea what the actual issue is, but it's like either the TLS certificates work or they don't, right? We're going from client ID and secret to X509 TLS. Ah, okay. Yeah, I get that. So it is a little more involved. Hence the Microsoft retiring and not the auth method. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Got that in place. And now I'm going to do the same thing I did before, where I kind of I grab the darker color and I almost try to contour it to where the rocks are. It's crazy they didn't tell us. It was on their website, but our internal teams didn't know and didn't tell us. Are you guys? I would assume that would be like part of like an email blast, right? Is it just like, whatever accounts you have just don't have the email configured, or is it like, do you think they just didn't send out emails at all? Because that would be wild. I mean, that would mean that they didn't let anybody know. Varying size boulders. I'm actually not put one there right now. I'll do that later when I have more. We probably have someone in the org who got the email and filtered it into an ignore folder. Yeah, that very likely. Yeah, we went through an exercise at work recently where we looked through all the dependencies across all of our like repositories and had to put together like spreadsheets of like how tightly coupled we are to those dependencies and how how we will get notified or how we'll know if we are like out of date, or like if some feature set that we rely on is being deprecated or something like that. It was a pain in the ass, but it's a good exercise to do, because you don't, the last thing you want is like basically what happened to you guys, where like a huge mission critical thing got deprecated and nobody knew. And I'm sure it would have been one of those things where like if it was noticed, could have just knocked it out in like a few days, had people test it, and then nobody panicking, you know? Oh man. Okay. So that layer is all caught up. I'm gonna throw a few more speckles around it, but it's more or less good. I think nah, maybe just one. Yeah. Actually, I don't even do that. It's there. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that looks fine. Alright. The other thing that's missing from these is I usually speckle in like a little bit of extra sand on the side there. Okay, now we can continue upward. I tend to prefer to do the sandy parts first, because it's easier for me, for some reason, to like mentally wrap how the cliffside's gonna go into those than it is for me to like create the cliffside first and then do the sandy part after. So maybe I'll just go ahead and do some of that here. Something like that. For that one. And then like I have a little bit of leeway with like how these go in here, because I can kind of like even bring this down a little bit. It's not like a ton of leeway because it's the perspective and I have to respect that, but yeah, I think that works. It's just like as long as I make sure it's at enough of an angle, because if this one is going like that, I don't even know exactly how to describe what I'm talking about here, but like if we're looking at the wall from a like perspective where slopes are like this, then a slope going into the like towards the user would be kind of at an opposite angle like that. So I have to make sure that they're kind of more or less following that kind of pattern, or else it'll look weird. Or at least maybe it won't look weird, but it won't look at like what I'm necessarily going for. Okay. I don't love that. That's better. No, more of this in here. I probably could have just connected these, honestly, and made them. I mean, honestly, I think I still could. And this might be a bit of an interesting shape. Let's see how this pans out. I'll play with it, because it would almost be like it's like a winding path. Maybe. Does that even work? Doesn't look bad. I think it looks fine. I'll leave it. My favorite thing to say is I can come back to that later if I don't like it. And then I never don't like it enough to come back to it later. It's like a trick that I have that lets me be productive and move on from things. because I can just stay here forever, nitpicking the individual pixels. Probably shouldn't have added these yet, because like, why did I go all the way up here? I don't even know how this is gonna be shaped here in a sec, so I'm gonna remove those. I'm gonna throw more of this. See, now I'm like in this weird position. I think I should have... Here, I'll grab some of the black and re-separate this out. Because that was looking a little too thick. Thick with 3 C's. And then we can come back and add all the other stuff back in when we feel like it. But okay. So immediately I'm seeing like some shapes here that I'm gonna want to accentuate for the cliffside. Like right here is one. Right here is a good step. Honestly, like I'm doing this kind of backwards from how I think like makes sense to do in a real game. Because I put together the collider first, and now I'm painting the terrain onto the collider. Well, probably would have made more sense as if I painted the terrain first to make it look how I wanted in Aseprite, and then added the collider in. But my like authoring format for the levels is a little bit like the lines for the like how the lander interacts with the world and the collider matter so much, and they're like it's kind of restrictive in like the exact angles that I can do, that I don't have the freedom to actually paint the terrain first and then fill it with the colliders, or like trace a collider onto it after, because then I would have no guarantee that my art lines up with my like constraints that I have set up for the world. So I have to do it this kind of weird backwards way, and it's interesting. It forces me to be a little more creative, I think, because instead of me deciding, okay, I'm gonna put a very specific shaped cliff here, and I just go around and I draw the art to look like the most perfect cliff ever. Instead, I have like a silhouette of the terrain, and I have to say, okay, what does this look like it's gonna be? You know, it's an interesting approach. I'm sure maybe there's someone smarter out there than me who could have thought of a better way of doing it, but I'm only as smart as I am. So naturally, I can only do what I think of. Okay. That works. And then here we're gonna have more of these, like, it looks like snow, honestly. I will probably call it snow at some point. Moon snow. That's what it is. I wonder what the technical term for this is. Let me look that up. Lunar soil technical term. I wonder if there's like an actual name for it. I know it's okay, lunar regolith, but I feel like for me, regolith sounds more like the rock, right? I'm not talking about the rock. You know, I'm talking about the fine, like the particulates. And what I'm seeing online, it says lunar soil. I feel like we needed a better name. Regolith, Adam. Hey, welcome, Adam. How's it going? Yeah, you see, like, but regolith to me, that is the rocks, the individual chunks. It probably is both. It's just mentally, you know, like I hear regolith, I think rock. But like, what do I call this stuff, you know? And like lunar soil just doesn't have that ring to it. And then sand makes me think of like earth sand, right? So it's like, I don't know. I'm surprised that like selenologists don't have a more custom word for it, I guess. Or maybe I shouldn't be surprised, because scientists never have good names for anything. That's the curse of being a scientist, I think. Okay, we're gonna throw in some some of these shadows again, kind of like how we did before. We're going to define the shapes of the stuff before we go in and put any details in there. Something like this here, maybe. Yeah, okay. That works. What I also want to do is bring that out a little bit. Something like that. I love this art style. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I don't even know what I would call it. It's kind of just me, through sheer will, forcing my way through making something, because I'm not very good at pixel art, but I call it like vibe art. Yeah, it's essentially moon dust and less indicative of full on rock. Yeah, I don't know. Because like the actual, like my Google search, let me show you what I was seeing. If I can. Every time I stream, I have to like re-add my stuff for it to show up. Okay, so like look, all right, like soil on moon, right? Like technical term, it's regolith, the unconsolidated material. So I think you're right, it is like the rock and stuff like that. But then there's lunar soil, typically refers to the finer fraction of lunar regolith. You know, the grains of 1 centimeter diameter or less, and that is actually more of what I'm referring to than like this part right here. That's the particulates, right? Hey Bob, thanks for the follow, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so it is the particulates that I'm talking about. So I think that the technical term for it is lunar soil, and then the regolith would be like these rocks that are here, right? It's just weird because, like, I don't know. I want to call it something. I want to call it, like, I don't know. Not snow, but you know what I mean? I feel like it needs its own name that doesn't just have lunar in it. So then once again, I'm just lining up the edge here. And one thing I'm noticing, I think maybe I put these shadows in a little too close to the edge. I think I want to give myself a little more room to work with for the cliff. So I'm gonna clear that out, and I'm gonna just do them again. Let me grab that. Bring this out a little. I think the reason I put it so tightly there is because I'm going off of this banding here, and it was tighter than I wanted. Ash of Selene, that's not bad. Yeah, but I'm thinking, like, I need something that I can say in the middle of just me speaking on stream, and then everybody knows what I'm talking about, you know? Because, like, this looks like snow. Looks like snow, but it's not snow. Nah, I get you. It's a bit redundant with lunar in the name. Exactly, that's what I'm thinking, you know? I want a good name for it. It looks almost phallic. What looks phallic? I need you to tell me what looks phallic, Corbin. I can't have penises in my game art. The pokey bit? Oh my god, it totally does. Look at that. There's the balls. Penis on stream. Nice. Alright, well now I have to leave that in there. And people can use it to navigate. The penis snow. I'm right by the penis snow, guys. The okay. These shadows don't need to be totally perfect because I can always adjust them a little bit. But they give me the gist of what I need. And then more lines. This is just, it's gonna be a bunch of lines. Watch, this is gonna look so chaotic for a second, and then probably for longer than a second. Like, I'm just straight up a bunch of lines. And this is the best way that I have found with my programmer brain to do good like rock strata. I just make a bunch of lines, I let them intersect, and naturally I start getting these like shaded regions. I can't promise this is gonna look amazing, but look, like, you can already kind of tell, like, even without any further shading, you can kind of already tell, okay, like, this is literally, it's like vertical rock strata, you know what I mean? And then now that I have that, I can start going in here and doing some more of that shading. I have to think about where I want my highlights first. Like, obviously there's a cliffside there, right? So right underneath there, we're gonna have some shading. Do I think maybe just the one for this one is enough? Let's see. We can add more later, but throw in some darkness there. Grab that other dark value here. That's the same one. I totally just grabbed the same color. Okay. And then, boom. Looks a little flat. Maybe I do that. There we go. Honestly, you're knocking your own pixel art skill, but I'm an artist and I legitimately think your entire thing is looking great. Part of the reason I clicked on the stream, honestly. Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. That means a lot. It really does. I mentioned earlier on the stream, this map, it's one of the smallest maps in the entire game. There's going to be 5 total. And this is kind of like the introductory area, Act 0, if you will, where I teach people how to actually play the game and all that. And I have so far been hand painting this for 2 weeks. So it's good. I'm happy that people are liking the vibe. Because it definitely wouldn't feel good painting something for 2 weeks and then people hate it. So I appreciate the kind words there. Okay, that looks fine for the shading of the canyon for now. Canyon, overhang, cliff, whatever. I'm starting to realize I have like the opposite of a way with words. It's like some people are poetic and I'm the opposite of that. Whatever you want to call that. Noetic. Okay. Kind of want to have maybe. See, like I can't be too strong with the shadows coming off of that, but they do need to be there. I feel like that's too strong. I think it was kind of fine the way it was before, actually. Maybe, yeah, maybe that. Okay, now I can add some crossing in here. And then this can, I mean, this is like naturally already a ledge here, honestly. I can kind of throw that there, maybe. See, I don't have like I don't have that many colors to work with, but I need some way of kind of showing that this is behind, or like it's like slightly indented behind it. That's one of the only concerns I have, because I can't just do that, right? Because then that doesn't give the right signal. I almost wonder, I can probably just do this. Throw some dark color in there. The lighter of the shade And then look at that. The magic of like your eyes are just, it's so weird. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like alternating that just made that look like, okay, it's just a darker shade. I mean, it literally is. That's what a color palette is. It's just, it breaks my brain whenever I do shit like that, because like I'm like, no, but that's the same color as that. That shouldn't work. But it does. It does. And then what I would have to do then is grab this darker color. See, there I feel like it starts to like break the illusion. But if I do that, you know, maybe I don't want that. Maybe I'm fine with that. I don't know. God, these AI viewer dudes, man. Get out of here, buddy. Get out of here. And then the other thing is like there wouldn't even be necessarily this much shadow here. I just want to show that it's like a little more indented. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. How does it look from out here? It doesn't look right from out here. I'll say that. I think I'll revert that for now. And maybe I kind of want to do like maybe something like that to break that area up. I don't know. It does. Your technique here reminds me of using grain and paper with graphite to fine texture. I think it's looking good. Maybe the dark line is extending too far into the rock face. You're saying this one here? You might be right. Oh, I see. You're saying when I had it like that. You might be right. Let me try it. Throw some darkness. Let's try it just in that spot. And then... See, the thing is, then I feel like I need... That actually doesn't look too bad. Like that. That kind of sells it. I think you're right. I think it was just going in too deep. It's a good call. I still kind of want to do... like a jagged... kind of thing like that to break that up a little bit, and then that'll kind of further illustrate like this is further forward than this rock face here. And then what I can just do is maybe that. Yeah, I think that feels decent. Okay. Yeah, the finding texture, that's literally what I'm doing. I'm taking my existing silhouette and I'm just like trying to find a cliffside in it, or like find what's hidden in there, I guess, if you will. Like there's something here maybe. Okay. Let me add some of this darker value here. Maybe this line doesn't belong here. So then I can do something like that. Yeah. So I'll take this line out and I'll replace it with just like that. I don't think I want to connect that, do I? No, that's too steep. I think that's fine. Do I want to use the darker value here? How does that look? I think I can leave it like that. Just imply it instead of fully necessarily defining it. Okay. Now I pepper in some of this shadow into these areas as well. To break up some of that, like, you know, could be a little bit deeper in that area. I feel like I could also add kind of like a, not so much a like ledge, more of just like a glint, something to break this face up here, because it is just one big face and these lines start to look not so good when I have them too long. But I don't want another ledge. Just some texture for the rock face itself, you know? Yeah, this is coming along great. From a distance, it's resembling those vertically striated rock walls you sometimes see in caves, stone battered by meteorites from above. Exactly, that's exactly what I'm going for. That's why I went for that, like, you know, I started with the lines, because, like, I only have a few pixels to work with here, you know? So here it's just straight up, like, a lot about implying the value more than it is about actually showing everything. But yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. I feel like this is feeling a little bit empty here. Maybe something a little bigger there. I don't know. I feel like I'm overthinking it for some of this. Just this part here doesn't feel totally right. I could add like a cross cut in there. That adds a little more texture that way. It's almost like not even noticeable from up close, but you definitely see it, like that cut there. I think that actually looks fine now. Okay. Here, I want to give this top area some love too. I think since I have this cut here, I do want to fill that in at least a little bit. I think those are fine the way that they were, but that part needed a little bit more definition there. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then I'll extend this a tiny bit, like that. Add a little bit of shadow. I don't know what I don't think I even need to fully touch it to the top here. I mean, I probably could if I want to. That looks kind of weird. Because it's like that is a shaded area, more or less. Maybe I just want to bring down some of these shade values here. Yeah, I think that is what I want. Some like lower shadows. And then maybe just that last. Yeah, I think that. I don't know. Okay, well, I'll call it there for that. Can always come back to it. It's hard to like also judge it before the rest of the like depth is done, because sometimes it doesn't look quite right, but then you add in the little like regolith speckles and then it like brings it to life. So I have to let it breathe for a second. Let me add some of this shadow down this way. There. Okay. You know, I feel like maybe the shadow needs to be connected there, just because it looked too round when I had it disconnected, and I don't want to round out this part of the cliff. I want it to feel straight. Yeah, I think that gives it a lot more structure. Yeah, that solidified the whole thing a lot, I think. It looks a lot better. Okay. Alright. I'll start working on filling this part in then. And then we'll make our way back up, and then we'll go to the next set of ash or whatever. Lunar soil. See, I need a good word for that. I want to give myself enough space to comfortably place those specks in here. Okay. Like, that'll be enough, I think. Maybe not down here, actually. Well, let me fill that in, actually. So I think that'll be enough space. And then I can do the same thing I did before and just, like, sculpt around it. Might be a little too close. Okay. I've thought about like putting together just like a little library of all of these little rock shapes that I keep drawing, and I can just grab them. But then I realized that it would probably take me like as much time to grab them as it does for me to just draw them, so it doesn't make any sense. It's like I'm trying to, I don't know. I'm not that good at all this stuff, and I don't use Asprite that much, and I feel like I'm probably doing stuff in a much slower way than I could be, but then every time I try to think of a way of making this more efficient, it doesn't actually seem to be more efficient. Yeah. See, this, I don't know, something about this, like, so weird. When you look at it as individual little, like, rocks and symbols, it just doesn't look special, but then once you combine it with the rest of the strata it comes in, looking good. Yeah, you need some sort of brush with a custom texture and jitter, and I have no idea if acid bright supports that kind of thing. I looked into it a little bit, and I think the best I can do is basically like I can make. I know Aciprite supports, there's like a clone like stamp tool or something like that, but I would still have to go and individually select each one, and like the time that it takes me to go select it and then go to stamp it would probably, like, these are so small, you know, it would probably be the same. Not that that's like the majority of the time. I feel like the majority of my time spent working on this is like getting the cliffs looking okay. 'Cause there's a lot of cliffs, you know. Like the snowy texture I got down pretty easily. That's pretty quick. The cave, like this melted kind of rock look from the lava tubes, takes a little while, so that's probably the slowest. Like the cliffs and the caves are the slowest. And those are also the most bespoke, so I feel like I don't really have too much of a choice. I'm just scared because my other maps, like this right here, is like this area right here. This area, the playable area here is about 800 meters width-wise. And for the final map, the playable area is going to be like 3,000 meters width-wise, and like maybe twice the height that's here, because this is 800 by 500, 800 by 600, give or take. The final like playable, like for the other maps, the real maps for the game are 3,000 by 100, give or take. It's a significant difference, and if this is already taking me 2 weeks to do so far and I'm not done, I'm worried for those. But I only have like 4 of those, so I figure even if it takes me like a month or 2 per map, 8 months, it's a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but I'll just work on them as I work on different, like on different stages of the game, so hopefully it won't feel too bad. But oh geez, that's a lot of work. I can definitely see the apprehension. Yeah, it's, and then not to mention, this is like only one, like I basically have to do the map twice because the game has 2 different like zoom levels. So like this is the level of detail for when you're flying the lander, but then when you actually climb out of the lander, it zooms way in to the point where like your character is like this big, like this is the size of a player, you know. So I can't keep this level of detail. I have to, I switched to like a 32 pixels per meter, whereas right here we have 3.2 pixels per meter, so it's like 10x zoom in. So for that level of detail, I'm actually doing that as a tile set though. But still, I have to draw the tiles and whatever. So I have to basically design each map twice. It's a lot of work. I'm scared, but it is what it is. If that's what I have to do to get the look I want, then it is, you know, it is what it is. I wonder if you can make a library of cliff chunks that you could blend in later to make it a bit faster. I probably could. It's probably not a bad idea. And maybe for like my future, for like, I can maybe do this whole map by hand, Act 0, and then for the later acts, I can basically use all the cliff chunks from this map and do that. That might be, you might be right, that might be a good approach. And I'm sure I'll still have some very bespoke cliffs. Because yeah, like a flat cliff, you know, left side flat cliff, right side, and then just throw it on there and massage it into place. It's probably a good idea. I'll likely end up doing some variation of that because shit's a lot of work. Okay, so let me throw some of these darker shadows down here, and then I can grab a lighter version of the shadow, throw it down. Okay. tiny little mini cliff there. Then that lets me just continue connecting these. Like placing more of these little shapes in here. Yep, 100%. You'll have a ton of unique detail to draw from once this is complete, and I doubt people would notice if you tastefully blended the chunks together later anyway. Yeah, I think, honestly, that might be the way to go. Because I'll have, like, the majority of all of the different slopes that I'll need from this map. And even if it only saves me, like, let's say, 10 minutes per cliffside, that's a huge win. Because, like, I've been streaming now for what? An hour? And in that hour, what we've completed is... What? like, I honestly don't really remember. I feel like it's like this. That is an hour worth of painting. Which, like, it feels terrible to say. It feels terrible to look at that and say it took me an hour to do that. Because it just does not look like it should have taken that long. But that's the price you pay. But yeah, I think even if it saves me 10 minutes per cliffside, which it'll probably save me more. Because the majority of this work was cliffs. You know, if I already had pre-existing ones and I just massage them into place, I think it'll save me a lot of time. I think the next few maps, especially like once I, like the more, like after I do Act 1, I'll have even more of a library of cliffs and stuff to use for the next act, and it'll just kind of compound. So I think that's a great suggestion. I just, for me, something about, like, doing that also worries me. Because then I'm like, what if I can't execute on that? And I end up spending even more time trying to blend it in than I would have just if I had tried to draw it bespoke. But I guess it's one of those things where I'll just have to try it and see. I just wish I could make a brush for, like, this stuff, you know? That stuff's super simple. But honestly, it wouldn't even save me that much time. Making the time spent making a brush for it might like end up saving me 0 time when you factor in like the actual time spent making it versus how much time it'll save me. Now we can go and kind of massage this in a little bit. Make it feel more organic. Then we can start bringing up this layer. Like intentionally trying to be a little bit like bubbly with it so it doesn't look too like too perfect and straight and stuff. So I keep making that portion straight. I don't know why. It's like my brain is looking at this and it's like, oh well, to match that you just make it straight. Okay, I think that'll be fine for now. Cut that there, fill it, grab some of these. I also need to, I'll usually grab some of these lower rocks here and bucket fill them in 1 or 2 spots to add some variation in there. Okay. Now back to these little rocks. it's so hard to like try to be random, if that makes sense, because I'm trying to like not necessarily have a random spacing, but try to randomize the sizing, and I don't do a great job at it, but it's like it's actually hard to do. My brain just wants to make everything look the same. Oh man. Can't wait to be done with this, because then I can do more art, but like it'll be different art. I can start doing some animations and stuff for like parts of the systems of the game. Oh yeah, randomization is one of those things, one of those really difficult things to just do intuitively. Humans tend to like to give things uniform distribution. Yeah, dude, it's like I have to actively like force myself to like I think it's weird, like I have to think very hard to try to make things actually random, and even then it still comes out not that random. It's crazy how our brains work. I wonder if you could like I feel like I wonder if there's something there where like the better you are, like if there was like some sort of test, I don't know what it would show, right? Like I have no idea what the correlation would be, but like if there was some sort of test where it was like, okay, like take 5 dots and place them as randomly as you can, and like depending on how random the person places those dots, it tells you something about how their brain works, you know? I feel like that'd be interesting. Like I wonder if people who are neurodivergent are better or worse at would be better or worse at like that kind of task, or like, you know, just any different like group of people, you know. Okay, that looks fine. On to the next color. It's like my brain just keeps wanting to draw the same shape. Okay, I think that's as far as I can bring that up, and then I'll fill this in a little bit. And then there's something so funny about the whole randomness thing again, too. It's like, I just put these 2 dots together like that, and like that's perfectly random. But then my brain's like, no, dude, you can't do that. You can't put 2 dots side by side. It's completely unrealistic. Take one and move it down. And like it looks better. I know it's like the exact same level of randomness, but like it's like, no, you cannot have those on the same line, dude. What are you doing? Massage that into place a little bit, try to give it a little bit more organic feel. That might be a little too much there. Okay. That's not too bad. Now on to the last band. The last dandelion. Anybody here an Ice Age fan? Those movies were the shit. I am like pretty excited for the new Shrek movie that's gonna come out. It looks terrible. Like the art style, I don't love it. Like, alright, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. But it just doesn't feel like Shrek. I like the way it looked before. If that makes sense. I'm like a huge Shrek fan. I've seen the movies like 30,000 times. Like one of my favorite movies of all time. My wife and I have also been like binging watching like every indie horror movie that's come out this year and is in theaters. We saw Backrooms. We saw Obsession recently. We saw Exit 8. It was pretty good. That was a pretty good movie. We saw Iron Lung with Markiplier. That's not a super new one. I thought it was like interesting. The Iron Lung was like interesting looking, and the vibe was cool. I just didn't love how open-ended the story was. I never played the game, and so I was kind of lost for a while. I had to look up like a backstory of it to try to piece together what was going on. And I know that was kind of the point, is like the mystery of it. But I don't know. I feel like they should have maybe given a little bit more detail or backstory or something. Then the other thing that I also think about when I look at this is like, I know I've done like most of the terrain like this. Like, do I want to add shading? And I don't think I do. I don't think I do. But like what if I did something like, you know, like this would be the wrong color, but what if each of these was shaded? Would that add anything to it, you know? I don't know. I kind of like the art style as it is now. But it's always like, I don't know, you ever get that feeling where you're like, man, what if there's like one little addition that I can do to this that's gonna like really make it shine, you know? I get that feeling sometimes. I agree, there's kind of a sweet spot with ambiguity, and it's really easy for writers to over-rely on it. Yeah, that's how I felt. That is how I felt. It's like, I thought the concept for the movie was really cool, but slightly overly vague, you know? Lightening up further into the rock implies the chasm is deeper against the screen, I think. Lightening up further into the rock implies that the chasm is deeper. Not sure I fully understand. Are you saying lightening up the color or lightening up like how much of it there is? Like how much rock here? Are you saying like to remove? Kadawani, hey man, how's it going? I think I recognize your name. I think you were in one of my streams before. Welcome back if you were. Welcome in general if you're not. I'm pretty sure I've seen you around before. How's it going, man? And then for the sandy area, what I like to do is I like to kind of throw these speckles on wherever I know it's going to be that top layer of sand. And that helps me kind of visualize the contour of what that's going to look like. Yeah, this is my second time here. Well, welcome back, man. It's good to see you. How's your day going so far? And here I have something interesting. This is entirely a artifact of how the collider is for the terrain here. It's gonna be really interesting to make this look natural. That's a really strong angle there. I'll deal with it when I get there. Should that be snowy, or do I want that to just be the beginning of a cliff? Because like this is gonna be for sure. I said snowy. You see, this is what I'm saying. Like, I need a better word for it. It's not snow. Not bad. I really locked in at work today. Perfect flow state. Oh, dude, that happens. It's awesome when that happens, man. Love that. Love that feeling. You get like so much. You get like a week's worth of work done in like a day or something ridiculous. Okay, that looks fine. So for these, I need to decide if I'm merging them into one thing. Like, is that just going to be a really steep... You see that? Like, something about how that looks I don't love. What do you do for work, Kadawani? Are you a dev, or do you do something else? Yeah, I'm a C++ dev at a defense firm. That's sick. That's really cool. That must be really fun, dude. Writing code that does cool, potentially dangerous shit. I've, like, a minor dream of mine. I wouldn't even say it's a dream, but like something that I've always thought would be really cool would be to like write code for satellite software. That seems fun. I looked into, because I do amateur rocketry, like high power rocketry where you build your own rockets and shit. And like obviously I'm not sending anything into space or anything like that, but there was a point where I was really interested to see if there was any way that as a civilian you can send up like a CubeSat. And really there's not. That's not a easy, well, easy, not a accessible way to do it from what I could tell. But I feel like that would be super cool. I work on flight simulations, not the actual jet. Still really cool. Hell yeah, dude. Flight sims are awesome. I think that's every bit as cool as the actual jet. Okay, that feels decent for what the like snow caps can look like. But I do wanna, I don't know. I worry about when this comes out like this more than this color, because the cliffside is this same color and I don't want it to look too blended when I connect them, but I can play with it later when I get to that. what I would love to pivot to would be some kind of marine robotics. Ooh, that does sound cool. How's the game coming? It's coming good. You know, I've been finally taking some time to work on the art. It's so easy to just like focus on programming and stuff like that, but I figured let me get something that looks nice in place so that I can feel like I have an actual world. So I've been working on painting the terrain for the lander point of view when you're flying the lander around, and I've been painting this thing for like 2 weeks now. I'm finally seeing a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. I just have to finish basically these slopes here and then the interior of that cave right there, and it'll be almost, that's basically all I have left for like the terrain itself, and then I can start focusing on like adding some details, which will be on like other layers and stuff. But yeah, looks really good. Thank you, I appreciate that, man. I've been super anal with it, being meticulous, worrying about like individual pixel placements and stuff like that. I was just talking to Adam. He was giving me some suggestions on how I can maybe reduce some of my workload, because I was saying how this is the smallest of all the maps for the game. It's like 800 meters by like 600 meters, something like that. And if I've already spent 2 weeks hand painting this, and the other maps are gonna be like 3,000 by 1,000 meters. So then that, if you kind of extrapolate and I keep hand painting, it's gonna take me like 2 months, give or take, per map, and I have 4 of those size maps planned out. So that's like 8 months of just painting. If I continue to do it the exact way that I've been doing it for this one. So I need to rethink my strategy a bit. He was suggesting like using some like a cliff library, because the cliffs for me are the slowest part. Having like a library of cliffs from the existing artwork and kind of like massaging them into place. So I think that I'll probably end up doing that. Oh, one thing I forgot about this level here, I need to add, I had these like little extra glints where a little bit of light catches, like maybe 1 or 2 grains of sand. So I'm gonna add that in. This is okay. There, just kind of in random locations, something like that. If code doesn't burn you out, but art does, why not procedurally generate your art with code? I'm not that good at code, I guess. Like I don't even know how I would write code to procedurally generate something that looks like this, you know? So I feel what I'm afraid of is that I would spend a bunch of time, because I gave it some thought. I'm afraid that I would spend a bunch of time writing code to procedurally generate the artwork, and then it wouldn't look the way I wanted it to, and then I would end up hand drawing it anyway, and then I would have spent like 3 months writing procedural generation that I end up not using. I don't know. Fear, I guess, is what stops me. Oh, forgot to mention, serious props for doing this with custom engines. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's I'm doing everything the hard way, man. Like that, the hardest way I could possibly think of, apparently, because I hate myself. But thank you. Yeah, it's been really fun. Honestly, this game started off as a engine project. Like I wanted to build an engine, and then I was like, let me build a game so that I have something to test my engine with. And then it became a game. A lot of loops and math. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I mean, the demo scene folks do it amazingly well, but those guys are trying to build a full game in a few kilobytes. If you eliminate the space constraint, procedural generation isn't bad. I believe you. I do. I don't know if I'm that good. Don't know. I don't know. I'm just I'm just really scared of committing the time to building that out, like I said, and then not getting the look that I want. And then either feeling like, oh, well, I spent all the time on this already, I want to make sure I use it so that it's not like that my work doesn't go to waste, but then I'm gonna have what I feel like is subpar art, and then it'll bother me and nag me, and like I'll hate it. Or conversely, I spent all that time and then I don't like it. Again, same thing, I don't like it, but then I don't use it and I hand draw it anyway, and then there's like a few months worth of time wasted. But then there also is the best case scenario where it comes out exactly how I want it and then I save a bunch of time. It's just, I've noticed about myself that I'm a pretty risk averse person, you know? You can make a tool that generates different rock formations, then you can cycle through until you see one you like, then do a final drawing pass over that. I feel that though. Yeah, it's like slightly more tricky than that, because like for the game, for the flying to feel good, and for like because you can land the lander anywhere on the map, literally anywhere on the map within reason, according to physics, right? Like you can't land on like a 90-degree slope or like an 80-degree slope. You would just roll off, right? But like anywhere that you can get enough grip and friction, you can land there. And in order to do that, in order to also make everything interesting in terms of like the terrain shape, I allow for a bunch of different slopes that most 2D games don't allow for. So like if you think about like any 2D game you've played, unless they're using vector art, they're pretty much using either 45-degree slopes or 90 degrees, right? Like, and they just use a tile set and boom, problem solved. For this game, originally I had like the slopes of the terrain could be any inclination. And then when I realized that I needed to actually draw everything, and I realized like, okay, even if I limit my slopes to like inclinations of 1 degree increments, I would have to draw, let's say, like, because like you need to be able to climb out of the lander and actually physically walk during EVA, right? Which is a different level of detail than what I'm working on here. So like I would want to be able to have tiles for that, because of how much detail, like the actual like level of detail would be ridiculous. I can't just hand paint that. The image file would be massive, you know? So I need to tile that. But in order to tile that, that means I need like 360 different tiles for every degree of inclination. And that's just to have literally like the exact same tile copy and pasted for like a really long slope, which looks bad. So realistically, you probably want like 3 variations of every tile at 360 degrees. So you're at like, what is that, like 1080 different tiles, which is ridiculous. So then what I did was like, okay, I can limit that to 10 degrees. So then I only need 36 different variations of each slope, right? Or like 36 different tiles to match every 10 degrees of inclination. And then with the constraint that like every slope in the game is some multiple of 10 degrees, you know? And that means I only have to draw like 108 tiles if I want 3 different variations for each one. That's much more manageable for the art burden. But because of that, I have to, in order to make the terrain work for both scales, I need to have the constraint that, okay, every line can only be the 10 degree inclination, you know, a multiple of 10 degrees. And then in order to make it tileable, I also need them to be a consistent length. So they can only be like every terrain segment needs to be at least 1 tile in length, meaning like roughly a meter. So those 2 constraints together make it really weird for me to like do art first, because I can't guarantee that any of my art is going to match that. Like I can draw a cliff however I like it, but then when I try to go into the terrain and like trace it into the collider to actually make it follow the rules that I want it to follow, it won't work. So what I did was I drew a outline. Actually, I'll show you guys what I did. So I drew a plan for the map, right? I just drew it out. And then I took this plan and I put it into my level editor. It's like a custom whatever level editor, and then I traced the collider based using those snapping rules, right? And then after I had the collider, I made a tool in my level editor that exports a PNG file where there's a line following the exact slopes of the collider into a template file. And that's what this pink line is here, right? So then I take that pink line, I just filled it in with black so I wouldn't have pink everywhere. And now I'm trying to fill in the art in its place. So it's like a really weird, like, backwards flow, you know? But I feel like, as far as I can think, this is the only way that I can get it to match my, like, my terrain requirements, you know? Because if otherwise, then I can't do the tiled approach for the EVA. So it's weird. It's like this, like, tightly coupled thing, you know? Oh yeah, did you make your own physics engine or are you using Box 2D or Chipmunk? So yeah, I wrote my own physics for this too. I can't say it's like the best physics in the world. I probably would have been better off doing Box 2D or something, but I really wanted to like write it myself and like learn all that stuff. So it works, you know. There's some fine tuning for sure that I need to do that before I release the game, but yeah, it's a custom physics engine as well. So if you spend 8 months drawing, then you will certainly get to the end of it, making small incremental progress. If you spend 3 months procedural gen, you might have nothing. I see the difference. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm worried about. Because then if I do the 3 months, and then I have to do 8 months of drawing anyway, well, now I've spent 11 months on something that I could have only spent 8 months on. You know, I don't know. I'm not saying that I definitely wouldn't reach what I want. It's just my risk profile, man. It feels like I'd rather chip away at something that I know is guaranteed, and I'm sure I'll get more efficient at it as I go. So it probably won't take 8 months to do all of it. That's like, I'm hoping that's worst case scenario. But even if it takes 8 months, fine. Like the terrain, like here's my thought process. The game takes place on the moon, and the moon is very barren. And so, like, if I need to spend the extra time to make sure that the terrain looks really good, then so be it, because the terrain is going to be one of the main things that you're seeing all the time. Like, yes, there's going to be structures and whatever that you can see as well, and you're going to be landing and, like, exploring and stuff like that. But the majority of the, like, exploration stuff is going to be when you're on foot. Like, you're going to use the lander to fly around to get around the map and to solve some puzzles and stuff like that. But like the deep exploration stuff is when you hop out and you enter like part of the colony, for example, or like something like that. And that's going to have its own artwork anyway, you know, that's separate from this. So the terrain artwork has to do a lot of like the visual lifting and the like visual identity for the game, you know. The one advantage of proc gen is you can potentially churn out way more total content with minor to moderate variations between it, enough to look unique in a way that scales. The appearance of the moon follows a certain mathematical patterns. I totally agree with you. If I felt like I had the experience with procedural generation enough that I knew for a fact that I could get something that looked good enough, I would definitely pursue it. Because I'm sure this is doable with procedural generation, and maybe like a procedural pass and then like a detailing pass that's painted by hand or something like that. You know, it's 100% doable. At the very least, what I could definitely procedurally generate is this banding, right? Like these bands, 100%. I can just have like when the image gets exported, when the like collider mask gets exported, I could have it pre-exported with the bands already in place, right? And even like following on top of that, I could probably even have it exported with the bands already in place, and then also with a lot of this like rock stuff in place as well and procedurally generated. I totally think that that's possible. But then at the same time, that stuff is not the slowest part of it. The slowest part of it is 100% like the cliffs and the caves. And I think that I could probably write some decent, like, procedural generation for cliffs. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I'd end up, like, cleaning it up anyway. I don't know. I worry that it would, be a lot of work, and then I might not have enough payoff, you know? At work, trying something new like that, they tell me to do a 1-week spike and see how far I can get, fail fast if it seems like it's way over our heads or not tractable. Yeah, you're probably right. I probably could do something like that. I mean, maybe. Yeah. Thing is, like, at least for Act 0 for this map, I had no visual identity planned yet. I needed to kind of play around with it anyway, so there was gonna be some amount of hand painting anyway, because I didn't even really know what I wanted to look like. But now that I have a lot of it, I know what I want it to look like. I could probably expand my tools to try to match closely to what I have. So maybe as like a follow-up for like my next map or something like that, I'll do some combination of like the cliff library thing, and like at least maybe some amount of procedural generation just to like quick start me. Probably wouldn't hurt. Definitely something I'll consider. Okay, I have this cliffside here that I need to draw up to. Food for thought. Yeah. No, I appreciate the suggestions, because I don't want to draw forever. But I guess I'm just prepared to do it all manually if I have to, you know? That's my thought or my mindset right now. Okay. Let me bring my reference up a little bit. I want to make sure I can see it. Even though I know how I want it to look, I just want to make sure I have a reference of the depth that I've done, because I don't want to make some area like deeper, like the rock faces deeper than they need to be. Okay. Something like out here. Yeah, more or less. Is it intended that the lunar lander in the green in the bottom left of the stream window is supposed to have an angry looking face? No, it's not. I think that's just like a happy accident, I guess. It naturally, that's just so the actual lander in the game has that same kind of face. It's just less noticeable because it has multiple colors and stuff like that. But those are like the windows that are in there, you know, where they look at the triangular windows, like these windows, like behind me, these windows right here, and then the actual door that they open to go in and out. That's what those are. But it definitely looks like a little angry face. Ah, cool. Like when you look at a car in the front and you're like, man, that looks like a mean car with a face. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I forget. There's like a specific term for that. What is it? I'm not thinking of personification, but there's like a anthropomorphizing. But I think that's specific to animals. Anthropomorphize. Let me look that up actually. Jesus, that's a long. Anthropomorphic describes the attribution of human characteristics, emotions, intentions, and physical form to non-humanity. So actually, that does work for cars. Pareidolia. Ooh, I think I've heard that one too. Pareidolia. Psychological phenomenon where your brain imposes meaningful patterns, most commonly faces onto random ambiguous stimuli. Yep, yeah. It's I guess both of those work, but yeah, that's a more specific term. I love doing that. I love having like I love noticing faces and stuff. Something about it just makes me so happy. Okay. This is a little tricky here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this out a little bit more so I have kind of like a base for the cliff. If that makes sense. I don't know if that even makes sense what I just said, but basically I don't want it to look like the cliff starts from nowhere. If that because this is like a very, I mean, I could honestly do something like that. I don't know. Doesn't look the best. What I could do actually is I could have a shadow or like a I don't like that either. I think I like the look of extending this the most. I don't want it to look too thick either, though. Do I want to increase the length? Like bring it all the way out like that? Nah, that looks like shit. Maybe down? Does down look better? Down actually does look a little bit better. Let me see. Something like that. Yeah, I think I'll keep it like that for now. Let that sit for a bit. Because then I have a basis for where the cliff starts to come from. And then back to our little happy lines. Okay, and then grab this cliff edge here. Good spot for it right there. Nice and simple. This is a fast one because it's so small. I feel like the ones that are small are so quick to do. That looks fine. Okay. Add some more shadow here. Yeah, that looks decent. Okay. I think that's all that one needs, to be honest. Less is more, I think, in this case. Cool. All right. I'm just going to grab this color again. Bring that out a little bit. bit more, give myself some more room to work with here. Oh. This is where these shapes really start to feel nice to just throw in, because they almost start to feel like part of the cliffside sometimes, but then they're still distinctively not. Try not to make these like too perfectly lined up here. Yeah, something like that. And then our dots, trusty dots, little speckles. Now here, I feel like I need to do a little bit more work on the shading here to sell this a little bit better. So I'll throw that there, and then like that maybe for the cliff side, because there's like a little bit of cliff in there. A little shadow all over that maybe. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that works. Now onto this layer. Rock. I want these to feel like they're just lining up perfectly with each other, like the two different layers of these rocks. Okay, that feels fine. Now I also need, I think somewhere around here is the good time to put a mineral, or maybe like a little cluster of minerals, or maybe I want to do a bit of cracking in this area, because let me see, I try not to put the cracks too close, but I think the last crack I had was like way down here. So are you planning to have a background accompany this, or stick to a solid color? Yeah, I'm planning on doing like a parallax background, with maybe like 2 or 3 parallax layers. But I might have like a semi-detailed like background layer that's like directly behind this. That's like close by like hills and stuff or whatever. And then like a way further back, but the further back layers, I might have like 2 or 3 of those, and those will just be like silhouettes of like shapes and stuff like that. Because I don't I think it'll be a lot to try to hand draw those as well. But at least if I have the parallax feeling and all that, I think that'll do a lot for it. And then we also have all the stars and shit like that. That's gonna be in the background as well. So I think that'll make up for it. Matter of fact, I don't think I've shown the game so far this stream, so let's hop in and see how that looks. What I need to do is I need to export. Let me hide these layers that I don't want and export this. And then I'll just throw those layers back on, and then I'll build. There's like a command that I have to do to transfer the what's it called? To transfer the assets into the build. Because I don't do that automatically on build because it takes a little bit of a while sometimes. Matter of fact, I'll take the opportunity to go and grab myself a beer while that builds, so just give me a quick second here. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Was that fast? I got myself a White Claw instead of beer, so I kind of lied, but it'll do its job. I got back before the build finished. I wasn't even showing the build. I just realized Asaprite's covering it. There we go. This is what you guys should have been seeing. Got a game resource copying happening right now. It's usually faster than this, but when I stream, I use a slower thing that doesn't use so many of my cores. I had problems earlier in my stream. Corbin remembers, where when I would build, my entire stream would come to a halt. Ooh, I'm really interested to seeing how that'll end up coming together. Since you have a highly detailed foreground, you can fade to simpler shapes and further back to help sell the distance. Exactly. Yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully it looks good. I don't know. It's like I'm kind of winging it as I go here. I don't have too much of a visual plan, you know. I have a hard time like imagining stuff before I see it in front of me. So I know that I want to do that. I just can't say that I have a very specific vision in my head yet. You know, I just take it one step at a time. Totoro, the stream lagging thermal blanket. Yeah, she would sit on my cat Totoro would sit on my laptop, which is what I use to stream, and heat it up, and then I would get thermal throttled. Okay, let's see. Time to hop into the game. Let's see what we've got. So it's gonna look a little wonky because I have the terrain underlay for like the vector. I'm drawing the vector for the terrain underneath the actual terrain mask because I was doing some debugging and stuff like that. And then like it's always visible right now. Like even when you EVA, you still see the terrain for the lander view of the terrain. So it doesn't look too great, but it's been fine for what I've been testing. But yeah. Okay, so there's the terrain. Looks good. We can fly over to where we just were, where we've been painting our stuff. See how it feels in the lander. I feel like it looks decent. Like, this reads to me as lunar terrain. Looks a little snowy, I will admit, but I feel like any way that I do this, it's gonna look kind of snowy. if I try to make it look sandy, you know, because it's just like such a similar color, or such a similar vibe, you know. What I want to do is I want to, over here where I have this cave, to make the scanner, because there's a LiDAR scanner in the game, right? What I want to do is I want to cover this so you can't actually see it when you're flying, right? And this will just look like it's like a covered part of the cliff, right? It'll just look like one solid face, and then you'll be able to use your scanner, and it would, in theory, you would, like, let's say you're up here and you're scanning the terrain and you're like, huh, that looks like it, like that should be connected. Why am I seeing something there, right? So then you can go and you can say, like, scan to the right, and as you go down, it shows you more and more, oh, like there's something there. And then you would kind of just trust your scanner and you're like, all right, this looks like I'm gonna hit a cliff here, but I'm gonna go in, and then boom, well, I shouldn't have died there. But I ran out of fuel. But yeah, you would see that there's like that it actually lets you in, and then I'd have like a shader to kind of like let you see like X-ray through that wall, and then that way you can like discover caves, you know. That's the plan. Any GitHub link for this? Welcome, Gaming Empire. No, this isn't open source. The engine Singularity will be open source. The game is closed source. The engine's going to be open source after I finish making the game. But the game itself, it's entirely closed source. It's going to be up on Steam. If you want to check it out, there's if you do, let me show you. There's !Steam. That actually just threw it into Discord or into Twitch. But if you want, you can do !Steam and check out the game on Steam. That'll give you a link that you can copy. No, seriously, this is looking great, and honestly, some of those images from surfaces of asteroids and stuff look like snow anyway. Yeah, you know, I there's only so much I can do. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been so much work, but it's finally feeling like it's starting to come together, you know. Yeah, this is looking cool. I just wish. Listen, thanks, man. I appreciate the support. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm super excited because, like, as I've been working on this stuff, I've, like, you know, because you're doing art, and I feel like for me, like, while I'm doing art, if I'm not on stream, I just kind of like think about random other shit for the game. It's like a good time to just plan some other stuff out. So I thought of I had this issue where I wanted to make sure that the player never runs out of fuel, but still has to manage fuel as a resource for flying. So as I was drawing this, and I was drawing like these little minerals in here, I was like, man, like I could totally make a system where you can land anywhere, right? And you have like this personal like drill or something like that, like maybe not exactly a drill, whatever. There's some sort of mining thing that would have been created by the, you know, the powers that be that sent you out here onto the moon, that you can use to like sift through and collect small bits of volatile bearing regolith. You bring that back to the lander, and the lander has like it's called an ISRU, in situ resource utilization module, and you throw the volatile in there, which would contain like liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen, whatever, liquid water, you know, and that would convert it into like hydrolox fuel, which then you could use to like actually fly the ship, fly the rocket, the lander. But it would be like, I don't want to say skill based, but it would take some time, right? The way I imagine it is like, imagine like you place down your mining equipment, like let's say you're like right here, right? And then like you put down your little drill thing or whatever. That's a drill. Pretend it's a real drill. And then it would do like a little sonar ping of the ground, right? And then it would show you like, oh yeah, there's some stuff here. And then if there is some stuff there, basically it would open up like a little vector art mini game or something like that. And there's like a maze that shows up, right? and this is a terrible maze, but you get the point. You start up here, and you control the drill head, and you have a certain amount of charges. So like there's some areas of the maze that are empty that you don't need to drill through because it's just empty, like air pockets or something. And then there's some areas with like soft rock, right? So like you can go here. This costs you nothing to go to this spot in the drill, but if you want to go here, it costs you 1 like drill charge to break that rock right there, right? And like let's say you break that rock, well then it's gone, right? And basically you would have like these little resource deposits. So you try to go and collect the volatiles, and you get as many as you can from your 1 charge. And once you finish, boom, it's done. And then you can't mine in that area again for a little bit. So you basically are just trying to find the most optimal path that you can get to collect as much volatiles as you can for fueling your ship. And that way you can basically get fuel from anywhere, but while you're flying, you still have to manage your fuel so that you don't crash and all that crap. I'll tell you what, once this is available, or even better, it's going to bring a lot of people happiness. There are a lot of space nerds out there who love retro style. Thanks, man. I hope so. I hope so. Like, it's bringing me a lot of happiness to make it, so I hope that other people enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying building it, you know? Okay, back to the grind. The regolith grind don't stop. Try to make this a little irregular here. Then over here, it looks like we have another cliff already. Also, for anybody that's interested, we do have a Discord that you guys can hop into if you want, where we can just chat and talk shit, and I post stuff in there every once in a while, or I'll talk about my existential dread as I'm working on the game. It's all vibes. Okay. Looks decent. And then I also have like stream reminders on there for anybody who cares. Okay, that looks fine, and we move on. I do feel like I'm getting slowly more efficient at this, so because a lot of like the initial work was like discovery, like figuring out how I actually want stuff to look. So I think like maybe the first few days really skewed the amount of time that the whole thing's gonna take, you know? But even so, I think it's still gonna be a lot of work. Yeah, why can't I draw a straight line? Jeez. want those in there. Actually, let me move that higher up. Looked a little too close to the other one. Okay, that's fine. And then let me grab some of this, paint bucket that guy, and that guy. Just bring it in a little deeper. Okay, that looks fine. I'll move on to the next layer, and then I think I want to add a crack in here somewhere once I finish with this layer. It's so funny. I feel like as I'm drawing the art, I'm like zooming in and out, like I'm a schizo or something. Just like in and out, in and out. But like, you gotta see how it looks, you know, at that scale. Because sometimes something will look good, like super zoomed in, and then you zoom out a bit, and it looks terrible, you know. Specific there. Okay, that looks fine. Not too shabby. Okay. Let's see, what have we gotten done on this stream? Like this, I think. Sag. Oh man, I'm so slow. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, I'm gonna go and fill that area in up here. Okay, now we're at this corner where I was like, I'm gonna have to get creative to make this look decent. Cause like, I could just say, hey, like, no, that's just some flatness. That might not be the worst thing to do either, to be honest. Like, that's totally believable that there's like a bit of flatness there. Why not, right? Might be the cleanest solution. Let's just keep that assumption for now. Then we can change it, if anything. That's the wrong color. Depth. Something like that. Nice clean slope there. It's a little too thick. Yeah, and I think I'll want to pull this in because I already know this is going to be kind of cliffy here. Something like that, I think. I think it works. See, but even I don't know, because here now this looks kind of like this is a really sharp corner here. Doesn't look too natural. Maybe it's just the curve that I have. Like maybe if I go, maybe if I say that. What else could I do here? So I can't, that looks bad, but that also looks bad. I could kind of do this thing here where let's say I let that be a cliff face, right? And then I cut this short here. Like that. And then basically make it look like the sandy part didn't cover that. And this would be like one of the only places where a cliff kind of has a rocky top. But that might not be the worst thing ever. Let's see. I do something like this. And then let's say I think maybe I need some shading so that I can get a vibe for how this cliff is gonna interact here with the rest of everything. I'm just gonna throw this color in here for now. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab this color. We're gonna pretend for now that this, oops, tool. We have some flatness there. This is a weird shape here. I feel like this should be soil, to be honest. It'll be steep, but might look a little bit better. And then here I'll throw, I mean, I could do that. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better because it'll be easier for me to blend that together. Okay, now here, assuming this is going to be cliffside, just bear with me here. This might look terrible, might make no sense, but we'll see. I mean, there's nothing stopping. No, yeah. I was gonna say there's nothing stopping me from doing that, but then like it still will look weird because I don't have this bottom sort of shade of soil here. Because that just looks like I don't know, this is a tricky spot. I'm working on a piece while listening to this, and man, I can so relate to just the constant state of experimentation. LOL. Yeah. What are you working on? That's cool. You working on like general artwork, or you doing something for a game, or what? Enlighten me. That, you know, that doesn't look the worst right there. And then if I go with the shadow there, I can really show that that is a cliffside right there, but it's just dark. Something like that. It's not ideal. It's just, it's such a weird corner. But I think it could look worse. Let me see. Shade some of the rest of this in. Background work for a one-page comic panel, LOL. I've been spending way too long on it, to be honest. Dude, I can relate. Spending way too long on something. That's awesome, though. Are you, like, is that your own comic book, or, like, somebody commission you, or? How'd you get into that kind of thing? I think this is maybe, yeah. So I try to not do this, and that's why I have the reference here, but I think I made this come out a little too deep. So I'm gonna kind of cut some of it off. Try to thin it out, you know? I think that works. And then I can bring that down like that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, now I can go and shade in here. Let me see, dude, does this look good with a little... Is that even worth putting in there? I don't want it to feel like every single time I have a cliff, I have one of those on there, you know? Might start to feel a little generic. I could do something like that, though. That implies a little bit of depth without actually... Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that doesn't look half bad. Let me see if maybe a little more shadow adds anything, or if it just takes away. Yeah, it looks like too much at that point. I think I had it right the first time, just like that. That level of shadow is good. Okay. I think I'm happy with that portion for now. Maybe bring this out like that a little bit. Yeah, okay. And then I'll grab this shadow color, throw it in here. It's kind of the same. Actually, I don't think I can just do that. I think this needs to kind of go like that. Okay. Now, here, this is once again a cliff type of thing here. Bring this out a little more. Bring that in a little more. I think that's fine. And then I will grab these. Do the same, actually. I have to be really careful here with how I do these lines. Because it can start to look too muddy, you know? Grab that darker color, pull it in here. The one I'm working on is for a poll winner from my Patreon. It's kind of late since I was supposed to be done, since it was supposed to be done last month, but I had a commission that ended up taking a bit long too. Okay, oh, that's cool. Ah. That's really awesome, man. What's the comic about? I need that darker shading there to differentiate it a bit. Is it like about the poll winner, the person who won, or is it like they get to pick a topic? Like, how does that work? Okay, that looks fine. I'll leave it like that for now. I feel like there's like, you could do like a whole compilation of me over the next few years as I work on this game. There's gonna be a lot of times where I say, I'll leave it like that for now. Just gonna like be like a 5-hour clip of me saying that over and over again. Basically, people submit ideas, and then I make a poll for them and let people vote on a winner. This one involves state parks, so maybe it'd be cool to see a time lapse of all of this rock drawing, actually. Yeah, oof. Man, that would be a lot. I recorded a clip for like a video that I'll do later, like a short on like Instagram or TikTok or something like that. And I'll probably time lapse it a little bit because it's like super slow. So there'll be something like that on my TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But that's cool though. The ideas. I'd like to see some of the stuff you've worked on. Like if you have any links, throw them in the chat. People can check out your work. That sounds really cool. State parks. I saw this pretty cool thing where like you can collect like pins from different state parks that you visit. I think, I don't remember if it was like, I'm pretty sure it was pins, and you put them on like a board, and you kind of like fill out the board to like almost like Pokemon badges, you know? And then you end like at the end of it, basically the idea is like that you visited all of the state parks and stuff. It was pretty cool. I wanted to do something like that with the US states. So I want to visit every single state at some point, just for the simple fact of doing it. Trying to roughly match that. Actually, what I should do before I try to match it is I should clean it up. Clean up this layer so that it's more conformant. Forgive me if I'm a little cagey about it. LOL, it's not entirely SFW. Fair. Fair. No worries, dude. Yeah, my parents have been using their retirement to check out the big ones. Great Tetons, Yosemite, etc. Alright. That's awesome. I don't know if I've been to any of the big ones, to be honest. It's definitely like a to-do list item, for sure. But yeah, I definitely... What's the one that has the giant redwood trees? Or like... I could be wrong, but there's like... I'm pretty sure you can like... They're so big that you could draw... Like... That either they have done this or you can do it where you can create a tunnel for like a car to drive through. Like that's how wide these like redwood trees are somewhere in Cali or something like that. I thought that was like the coolest thing. Apparently not that cool if I don't remember it. But it's been a while since I've seen it. Alright. Making progress. Okay. Now we're about to get to this kind of massive outwards jutting section that I'm a little bit terrified of. I did something similar to that on this side, which came out looking fine. So I'll probably grab that as a reference in a bit. But let me finish off this area for now. Ooh, yeah, my parents went to that. I think that park has one that's dead and hollow, and you can stand in the center of it and look up through the hollow core of it. It's incredible. That sounds really cool. That sounds awesome, dude. Yeah, those things are like huge. Those, let me... Browser time. Let's go look at these giant redwood. I'm sure everybody here has seen it, but like, man, these things are so... Oh, look, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Look at that. There's a whole car going through a tree, dude. Where else can you see this in the world? A car going through a tree. Fucking insane. Man, these things are... Like, what? That's a tree. That's so cool. I feel like I would go just so that I could do this. Like, I want to see my car inside of a tree, and I want to, like, stand in front of it. I don't know. That's amazing. That's just so cool, dude. It's so cool. Okay, back to this. Oops. That paint bucket tool gets excited. It's amazing to think how old they are too. Like you'd be driving through something that's been here for hundreds of years. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, nature is crazy, man. I wonder what it is that makes them grow so large. Or like so thick and girthy. Like, is it just like there's like the oxygen in the area is so much richer that they are able to grow that much more, or like what? The soil nutrients in the soil that much better? What is it? I'm sure I could Google it. That's a good question. I wonder if it has something to do with them just not being out competed or something. Yeah, I mean, that could be it. Like, that forest looked pretty barren. Like, from the photos, it looked like it was just the trees. Like, there wasn't even a lot of foliage on the ground. It could have also just been the photos that I was looking at, but... Or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But, yeah. I don't know. Because that's, like, massive compared to other trees. Yeah, I think honestly I might start to think about calling it here for the stream. Not right this second, but maybe once I finish with this this final layer. It's a good stopping point. I'm getting tired. It's already almost 1 a.m. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna add a crack. I keep saying I'm gonna do it, and I keep not doing it. Let me do that. I'll do that as the last thing, because I do want to add it, and I don't want to forget. After I finish with that layer, I'll do that. That's too tight. Has anybody been playing Mecha Chameleon? I'm like super late to the party, man, but like I finally got it the other day, and oh, it's so fun. It's like just such a fun game to wind down with. Like I'll like spend hours working on this, and then I'll just like end my day playing a few rounds of that game. And like people get so creative with their hiding spots. It's really fun. And then I get to like practice my drawing, my art skills without like taking it too seriously, because it'll only last for that one round. Lets me like experiment with stuff. It's nice. There is something sad about that though. Like not sad in like a actual sad way, but like I was talking to my wife about this earlier. Like whenever I play games now that I've been working on Descent Horizon, it's been like a year, right? And now whenever I play a game, like at least like the first hour of any game I play, I'm like analyzing like, oh, how do they do this? Like, oh, do they have like how did they implement that? Is that a shader? Like, oh, this is how they're doing the tutorial in a way that doesn't feel like it's like too handholdy, and like, you know, like all the little things. Like I'm like dissecting the game more than I am playing it. And I have to like remind myself, like, dude, just play the game. It's just hard because like so much to learn from existing media, and people do like things in a really clever way. And then I also try to pay attention to the stuff that I don't like, you know, like, oh man, like this part of the game doesn't feel good. Why doesn't it feel good? You know, what can I learn from that, and how can I not do that in my game? I finally this is gonna sound like what's the word? blasphemy, but I tried to get into Hollow Knight for the longest time, like 4 or 5 separate attempts to play Hollow Knight, and I couldn't get into it for the life of me. I really wanted to. Like, it seems like such a cool game. And I couldn't get into it. But I finally did. Like, I don't know, 5th or 6th time's the charm. I was playing through that, and I was just enjoying it so much, and it felt so nice and atmospheric, and I don't know. It was like, it's interesting because it's a similar, like, atmospheric vibe to what I'm going for in my game. So, like, when I play it, I get that same feeling of, like, dissecting the game, you know? But like I try to take like inspiration from it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to add a crack in here somewhere. Somewhere where it would feel visually interesting to have one. Maybe up here. Maybe somewhere around here. Maybe like right in this area, because this feels kind of empty and weird here. So I think what I can do is kind of something like that. Okay, that works, and then I'll shade it in. Ooh. And I'm kind of okay with destroying some of these pre-existing rocks to achieve this, because I think I was talking about my crack philosophy on the previous stream, but the way I see it is like cracks would have kind of found their way around any of these like larger rocks. So if I kind of just erase the rocks in the places where the crack goes through, that lets me like move the rock without actually moving it, you know? Like right here, the crack would have gone around this rock, so I'll just kind of make this one smaller. Boom, no problem. You know? It would have went through the path of least resistance, I guess, is how I would phrase it. There. Okay. That feels fine. I feel like it filled out that area a little bit, added some interest. Cool. Yeah, it also implies that the larger rock is kind of jutting out of a finer substrate, maybe, kind of like finding a big round stone in the dirt. Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that I'm going for here, is like all of this like is like a substrate kind of thing here, and then like the rocks are kind of embedded in it. Like it would be basically this same soil, right? But like it's deeper into the ground. So like if you imagine like a light source is coming this way, like you would see the surface fine, right? And then like as you go deeper into the ground, you see less and less, like you have less and less light. This like hard transition here doesn't really serve the right purpose. It kind of makes it look like it's different rock layers, but truthfully I kind of imagine it as like it's this same kind of sandy texture, except you're not really seeing it the same, you know, to the same, with the same light level. It's just I didn't want to dither this, because that would have been a huge pain in the ass to do that across the whole map. So I'm just accepting how that hard edge looks, you know? But yeah, I think think that's looking pretty good. These cliffs, like, for a while, I didn't really have, like, much of a technique, you know, with how I was doing them. But then once I discovered that, like, up and down, like, line thing to make it look like the vertical rock strata, that really sped up my time with them. Not that I would consider this fast, because this took a long time, but yeah, it's feeling good though. It's starting to come together. Yeah, plus with the larger rounder stones deeper down, it almost implies that the outer surface has been more actively pulverized by meteor activity. It's exactly it. Yeah. The outer that's exactly what happens. It's like the outer surface gets pulverized by meteors. It gets hit with like radiation from the sun and just, you know, radiation in general from all over space, which continues to like refine the regolith, the sand, and make it more and more fine. So that's kind of the idea. But I'm glad that's coming through here. I'm really excited for the whole thing to be like done and just like adding more environmental details and stuff, you know. But yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it here. I think this has been good. I got a lot done. A lot done. But no, it's been good. It was productive. But yeah, now you can see this is how much gets done in what has been like 3 hours. From here, I think down to here, if I'm not mistaken. There's no way. There's no way that's all I did. No. Was that really it? No, I don't think so. I think it was... Did I start here? Man, it all looks so, like, similar. I feel like it was... Damn. Maybe it was this. I feel like this is what I did. But still, 3 hours. Fuck, man. I know it's taking a while, but it's really paying off, I think. Appreciate it, man. I do. I appreciate it. I think it's paying off, too. I like it. I like how it looks. I think it's making me happy to look at it. And it gives me the feeling of, like, a lonely moon. That's what I'm going for, and so... As long as it continues to feel like it's paying off, I'll be happy to continue to do the work, you know? But yeah, anyway, all right, I'm going to call it here. It's been awesome chatting with you guys. Thanks for keeping me company. I will, you know, links, and if anybody's interested, the Discord is a good spot to go hop in and chat. You know, wish us the game on Steam if anybody's interested, and I'll see you guys all next Thursday. It's been nice to meet you, dude. This looks like an amazing project. Appreciate it, man. It was awesome talking to you, dude. Hopefully I'll speak to you sometime soon again. But yeah, all right, thanks for hanging out. I'll see y'all next week, Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Bye.